Man, y'all, come on in here. Come on in here. Because I got beef with every single one of y'all. I got beef with every single one of y'all. And I'll tell you why here in a second. But y'all come on in here. Come on, get this goodness. I have a couple of thoughts today I want to share with you. Very good stuff. And I want to take to everyone, thank you for the participation the last few days. I'm going to be doing one of these every day, probably for the rest of the year, because it gives me good exercise. It gives me a way to share things with you. It gives me a way to hopefully inspire you in some kind of way to go do bigger and better things. I mean, 2021 has to be all about bigger and better things. Why would we do anything else? Nothing else even makes sense, because the way last year happened, you want to do something totally different. It's just crazy. But in saying that, I did have a couple of family members that did die from COVID. So on a more serious note, I want to say for those who are dealing with this virus and you have lost someone, my family's condolences to you. We're praying for you. We're thinking about you, and we're looking for better days. I was affected too, so I know exactly how that feels. And we're, hoping some kind of way this thing can kind of curve over and just get out of the way, just go somewhere else and do something else. Because this has been, like the old folks say, this has been one. This has definitely been one. But it comes down, it's a cycle of life. It does happen. There have been, viruses before. This one just kind of hit us out of nowhere, and it got real serious real quick. So take your precautions, do whatever your heart leads you to do. But in the long term, we'll be okay. Like I said, rest in peace to those that we may have lost. I lost a couple of people too. So with that being said, I want to go back to why I have beef with everybody on here. Everybody, because nobody said a word. Why didn't y'all tell me my line back here was crooked? The whole painting was tilted this way. Nobody even said a word. I know a couple of y'all nitpicky as hell too, and y'all never said anything. So we got serious beef, because you're supposed to let your boy know that my line back there was crooked. It's a fixture in my presentation, because it speaks to me every time I walk in the office, because my door is that way. So when I walk in and get in my seat, I have to see that line every day. And it reminds me of going after your goals with a vengeance, being relentless, never giving up, and always looking for that edge, always looking for how could I be even greater than I was yesterday. So that's what that's about. But yeah, y'all let me know next time. But today I want to talk about something real short, real quick, about evolution and spiritual maturity, and finding your own way, and not letting somebody else, mama them, grandmama them, grandpa them, to tell you which way that you need to go as far as your spirituality is concerned, because spirituality affects everything else in your life. And as you guys know, I wrote a book recently called Make More Money, and it's really more of a spiritual book than it is a money book. And like I teach all the time, wealth building consists of two different parts: mindset and mechanics. So spirituality has everything to do with your mindset and how you carry yourself, how you approach meetings, how you do everything depends on your mindset. And that starts with your spirituality. Now, we're not doing a comparison contrast. We're not saying one is better than the other one. We're not saying one's bad, one's good. I'm saying choose the path that's right for you. Choose the path, regardless of what anybody says. Follow your heart and choose the path that's right for you. Now, one particular practice I want to talk about is meditation. I found meditation later on in life, because I was born and raised Southern Baptist of the Christian faith, and I learned a whole lot. I grew a whole lot. Later on in life, I started to experience other things and go a different direction, because my soul was calling for that. Not everybody in my family agreed, and that's fine. And everything's, nobody condemned me or anything. It's just that my path took me a different direction. And like I said before, it's not that one is better than the other. My path just took a different direction. And meditation was one of the practices that I discovered that really helped me out on a lot, learning about myself, learning to go within. Because for a long time, I sought answers outside of myself. I sought answers over there and up there and around there. But at the end of the day, I learned that all the answers I ever needed were inside of me, the God that's within me, and the God that's within all of us. Every holy book talks about God emanating out of man. Every holy book talks about that. We won't even get into the discussion, but every book does. So meditation was something, of course, at first, when I was introduced to it, I'm like, what are we doing? what am I even trying to what am I even trying to get out of this? And I actually started a course on transcendental meditation, is what it's called. Really wasn't my thing. It was cool, but if you're exploring yourself, but somebody else wants to tell you how to explore yourself, it kind of takes away from the experience. I'm not saying, there are plenty of people that are certified in transcendental meditation, and I'm not knocking that. It just wasn't the path for me. I went on the path myself, on my path, and listened to what my heart and what the God within me was saying was right for me. And of course, I used my talent, skills, and abilities and try to figure out how those played a part in the life that I'm living and the life that I'll be living until I decide to exit this place. But meditation, let's talk about it. There's a whole bunch of different definitions, and we won't even go into the formal Merriam-Webster and all the other formal people. My thing is, first of all, I question everything, because that's just, you never know the motives of people when they do stuff. Why do Merriam-Webster and other dictionary companies get to decide what words mean? Why do they get to decide that? Who crowned them and said, hey, you tell us what these words mean, and thus what the words will mean? Who even does that? But anyway, that's just me and my thinking. So what I figured out for myself was meditation was nothing more than a conversation between me and my physical being and me, my spiritual being, communicating with one another. Because as your spiritual being can see before you, after you. It can see things that you can't see in this realm. Because when we chose to come into the physical realm, we take on a whole new set of assets, I'll say. We've taken on what we need to cope with in this life, which is, we call sentient beings, which basically anything that uses the five senses to communicate and interact with other beings and the world around them. So, and to coming in being a sentient being, you're not eternal anymore. You're not, at least the human part of you is not eternal anymore. So when the human part of you is not eternal anymore, then you're limited by a whole bunch of things. You're limited by, how fast you can move, how high you can jump, how the capacity with which you can think, and you're limited by that. So you're taking an infinite intelligent being and making them into this much smaller space in order to cope with the world that we're in and the rules of engagement that are here. Now, a lot of those rules, of course, can be overridden, and you learn that later on once you advance spiritually. But, you come into a lot of rituals and customs and laws and apply for the most part. But like I just said before, a lot of times you can override those rules. But more specifically, I want to talk about, a lot of us have thoughts in our heads and we don't know where it came from, or we think we don't know where it came from. A lot of us have conversations in our head, which is really in the spiritual realm. And let me give you an example. How many times have you said, I should have listened to my first mind? How many times have we all said? We've all said that 100,000 million times. I should have listened to my first mind. So my question is, who's that first mind? Where's that mind first? Where did that first mind come from? Where's the voice? Who is the voice? What's the voice? And my second question is, has the first mind ever, one time, ever been wrong? Ever? One time been wrong? No, it is not. You never say, I should not have listened to my first mind. You always say, I should have listened to my first mind. So who or what is this first mind? Who or what? Where does it come from? How do we even know to listen to it? What is the voice? When you hear the voice, who's speaking? Where does that come from? And that'll be more specific. We'll get in that down the road, but I'm going to talk about meditation as it applies to success and that things of that nature. But I just wanted to set the scene to talk about how meditation is really how you figure out the answers to all the questions you have in life. Now, it's okay to ask. Now, I'm not saying don't ask other people for advice. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying always, like the old folks say, trust your gut. Trust your gut instinct. Your gut instinct has never been wrong. It's never misguided you. Now, a lot of times we choose not to listen to that gut instinct. A lot of times we think we're smarter than the first mind for whatever reason. It's just the ego. It's just pride in men that's kind of embedded in us to prove something wrong or prove someone else wrong beyond ourselves. But within ourselves rests God and the clarity that we need to tackle this world on a daily basis, on a moment by moment basis. So I want to talk about meditation. Meditation, as far as I'm concerned, is just communication with your higher self. That's it. the highest version of yourself. And I always use Neo as in the Matrix series as an example, because remember how Morpheus kept reminding Neo how great he was, and Neo kept saying, I'm not great, I'm not great, I'm not good, I'm not great, that's not me. And Morpheus kept reminding him, that's an analogy for you and your higher self. You are Neo, and Morpheus is your higher self. And Morpheus, your higher self, is going to keep reminding you, Neo, who you are until you accept who you are. That's how this thing works. That's where that first mind comes from. Keep saying, nope, do this. Nope, do this. Nope, don't do that. Nope, you know that's not the right person. Boy, you know that's not the right girl for you. That first mind always that's Morpheus telling you that. So why don't we listen? And the thing about it, and to take that example even further, notice he was Neo until he figured out who he was, and then they started calling him the one. The one. So there's so many messages in these movies. There's so many things that we don't pay attention to that's trying to tell us what the answer is. And remember, once he became the one, his enemy or his darker soul, which were the agents, started calling him Mr. Anderson. He wasn't Neo anymore. He became Mr. Anderson. Why did they start calling him Mr. Anderson? Because they knew that he was a new being. So they started calling him Mr. Anderson instead of Neo. I don't know if you ever caught that. Watch this. If you ever watched the series, go watch I think it's 4 of them now, 3 or 4 of them right now. Go watch it. A lot of symbolism, a lot of lessons to be learned. So meditation, how I look at meditation is a listening exercise. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not begging for anything. I'm not wanting for anything other than answers. I just want to listen. I don't go in with any preconceived notions. I don't say anything other than I'm going to sit here. I don't even do the whole petitions thing. I just sit here and listen. And your spirit knows what answer. It already knows what you're looking for. So I position myself and say, hey, and I go into that zone, and I just open myself up to whatever the universe would want to tell me, whatever messages I need, because it already knows what you need. And you just sit there and you open yourself up to whatever the answers might be. The problem a lot of people run into is they don't like the answers they get. So, and I'm one of those. So we'll try to take what the universe tells us, or God or creator, whatever your higher power may be. We try to take that and make it into what we want it to be instead of accepting it for what it is. And guess what? We end up back in the same road again saying, man, I should have listened to my first mind. So the first way that I learned meditation was through what are called guided meditations, which is where you listen to a teacher or a mentor or a guru or whatever you want to call them, and they kind of guide you through the process. They'll talk you through settling down, paying attention to your senses, relaxing yourself, breathing correctly. It's like a coach almost guiding you through how to master it for yourself. So I went through several guided meditations myself before I finally figured out what was good for me. And you're going to, at some point, figure out what's good for you. Because some people like meditation with music. Some people like meditation without music. Some people like guided. Some people don't like guided. They all work. Every single one of them works. But the point of the matter is getting to that voice to where you don't doubt it anymore. Having a very intimate relationship to that voice, to as soon as you hear what it is that you need to hear, your next set of instructions, you immediately take action and go do it. That's the whole purpose of it, to go do what you're supposed to do. It's kind of like, remember Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, when the really, really, really big guy that was like 10 feet tall had the man that was on his back that was more so the brain for the big guy? This is kind of how that works in this earthly realm. Except you're the big guy, and you're waiting for your greater essence to come and tell you what to do. You're like we're all like big beasts that are waiting for instructions. That's just how it works. Because some of the more advanced philosophies and some of the more advanced understandings of this world are not just automatically given to us. You have to have the capacity for it. You have to be ready to receive it. You have to be able to handle the information you're given. And the universe will not give that to you until you're ready for it. And you have to grow to that point. You don't just automatically get assigned it, because that wouldn't make sense, because you can't even use what you have. You have to build yourself up to that. So meditation is just, as far as I'm concerned, meditation is a part of the puzzle in order to get everything you want in life. Because I teach a 3-step process to get everything you want out of life. And the first step is meditation. The second step is motivation. The third step is manifestation. And it works in a cycle. You got to do it all over again. Meditation, when you figure out the direction and where you're going. Motivation, which you get the energy and you actually go take action and go do it. See, action, I'll talk about motivation and action later on, but action is really where everybody goes wrong, because hardly anybody take action. We'd rather sit around and let every stuff happen instead of making it go happen. And manifestation is just coming into what it was you desired at first during meditation. So that's a 3-step process. And like I said, I'll teach about that later. But my whole point today is to open yourself up to learning how to meditate. Open yourself up to embracing meditation as part of your daily discipline, as a part of your daily practice, to where you ascend so high that you and your greater self are the same, like you're intertwined. Y'all both listen to each other, because everybody has a greater version of themselves. Because I always say in my teachings, the answer to every problem that you have in your life right now is contained within the greater version of you. That's where all the answers are. Now, it's okay to ask other people for advice. And sometimes we need other people's, an objective opinion sometimes is good. Sometimes it needs to boggle you and shake you a little bit in order for you to really get it, in order for you to really go for it. So I'm encouraging you today. And yes, I do have a guided meditation that's coming out pretty soon that I'm putting together right now called Bring Wealth. And it's a 20-minute guided meditation for people to listen to every single day to start learning and embracing the practice of meditation. I'm excited about it. We're still in the editing phase and all that now, and it's coming out pretty soon. But I want to plant the seed now for you to start considering adding meditation. And this doesn't matter. Let me stop for a second, because I know some people go off the rocker. Doesn't matter what religion you practice. I don't care if you're Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu. I don't care what religion you practice. Meditation is a major part of your religion. Now, some people do it in different ways, and some people pray, and some people, all that's fine. You can still do however you practice to whoever or whomever your larger God may be, or your creator may be. That doesn't matter to me, because meditation applies across the board to every single religion, every single spiritual practice, every single one, because it's simply communication with your higher self. That's all it is. So embrace that. I want you to have a great day. Even just go to YouTube and type in guided meditation just to kind of see how it works. And it's kind of weird at first. I can be honest with you. It's kind of weird at first. I wasn't really ready for it. When I opened myself up to who I really was and how I felt and the power that was within me, that was the greatest thing for me, that surge of power that you feel, so that you go off and do things you never thought you could do, or things you thought you could never have, and things you thought you could never be. You feel that power within, and it fuels you. It's like it excites you to no end. And then you come back and want to meditate and do it all over again, because you got to reset. You just have to do that. So with that being said, hey, go out and enjoy your day. As the guided meditation comes forth and we get finished with it, I'll offer it up to you. But other than that, go out and make it a great day. Have a good one.